To go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustments. It is June 20th at 6:28 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting. We've got some members of the public and some members of the committee coming in through Zoom, and then the rest of us are here in person. With us tonight in the committee via Zoom is Marnie Adams, John Ramonde. Sitting to my left is Bill Van Berkel, and myself, Rod Hicks, is the chair, and our secretary treasurer, Timaj. Timaj, could you start with reading the dedication to the lands?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the town of Innisfil acknowledges that Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for generations of stewardship. This meeting is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit. Thank you.
Reminding myself too, and everybody in attendance, could you put your electronic devices on mute? And here we go. The committee will follow the agenda as noted. To view the agenda, please visit the town's website and access the Committee of Adjustment page where you'll be able to see the current and previous applications. All applicants and members of the public who wish to address the committee via phone or Zoom will be placed on mute until called upon. You will be able to hear all conversations taking place. For applicants and members of the public attending in person or via phone or Zoom and wish to speak to a specific application will be called to the podium by the chair in order of the agenda and the proceedings. All comments will be addressed to the chairperson. We would ask that members of the public who wish to speak to a specific application restrict their comments to the specific details of the application being heard and has not been previously expressed by another member of the public. Once the public discussion is complete, the committee will close that portion, open discussions with the applicant, and once complete, the committee will render a decision. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Bill Van Berkel, seconded by Marnie. All in favor? Moved. If you saw the minutes from Timaj, we got the minutes from our last two meetings, so could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the past meetings? Bill Van Berkel, seconded by John. All in favor? It's moved. I just lost Marnie. Is Marnie gone? Marnie's not on the screen. Oh, did she? Okay, thank you. So that's approved. Does any member need to disclose any pecuniary interest with the application before us? See none? See none, John? No? Okay, nope. Great. Does any member need, sorry, Mr. Secretary, how is the notice provided to the application before us?
Through you, Mr. Chair, in compliance with Ontario regulations, the notice of hearing was circulated to property owners within a 60-meter radius of the subject properties, and signs were posted on the subject properties on or before June 6, 2024. In addition, all application information, including the notice, key map, and application drawings were made available on the town website.
Thank you. And our first application tonight is application A014-2024, A015-2024, A016-2024, known as 1708 South Porcupine Avenue. Do we have Casey Harris with us? Is that who's? Oh, there she is. Hello, welcome. There you are. Mr. Secretary, can you give us the information on the application? Any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the applicant is proposing to construct an accessory structure containing an accessory dwelling unit with a footprint of 81.25 square meters, a height of 6.4 meters, and a deficient exterior yard setback of 2 meters. The applicant is seeking relief from sections 3.5G, 3.5J, and 3.5K of the zoning bylaw. Planning recommends approval with conditions. Building have comments. Engineering and in-services have no comments.
Thank you. Casey, are you in receipt of the comments from the town?
I am, yes.
Yeah, you got anything to add to it?
I don't. I'm just here to answer any questions that may come up.
Okay. Let me just, sorry, I'm just taking a quick look here. Okay, so just, Tamaj, has Marnie left?
No, I'm back. I got
Oh, you're
trouble
back.
with this charge cord.
There we go. Okay, we're just in the middle of an
There I am.
we're on the first application, Marnie.
Okay.
Okay, so we have no one speaking for or against this tonight, I see, correct. Okay, committee members, do you have any questions of the applicant? I see none. Can I have a motion for or against the application before us? Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion that we approve all three of the applications as long as all the conditions are met on all three applications.
So a motion is that we approve this application with all attached comments. Do I have a seconder? John, all in favor? Casey, that was a quick one. You're done. You're approved.
Thank you so much.
You're
Have a
welcome.
great night.
You too. Okay, next one is A017-2024, A018-2024, A019-2024, and yep, that's it. Known as 1648 Houston Avenue. Do we have Doug Betts with us tonight? You can come up to the podium. Mr. Secretary, could you read us the application and any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the applicant is proposing to construct a detached garage with a height and footprint greater than the maximum permitted height and footprint in the zoning bylaw. The structure will also be located closer to the front lot line than the principal building. The applicant is seeking relief from sections 3.3B, 3.3D, and 3.3F of the zoning bylaw. Planning recommends approval with conditions. Building have comments. The Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority have comments and conditions. Engineering and in-services have no comments.
Okay, Doug, are you in receipt of the comments from the town?
Yes, there's one comment I want to ask about, and I don't know if Tomas can answer this because the architect asked the question regarding the tree preservation plan. Obviously, the garage is already built, the house is built. We just haven't connected the breezeway that was originally submitted for permit at the time. And at this point, we're just trying to see if we have to build that breezeway, and the reason for the minor variance is what we're asking for. So the tree preservation plan here, I'm not sure if it's pertinent because we've already got approval to remove the trees from the original permit. We're not removing any more, so I just didn't know about that comment.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll defer to Kirsten, who wrote the report. Kirsten, can you address that comment?
Yeah, thank you through you, Mr. Chair. So we did receive the question from the architect about the tree removal or the tree planting plan condition, and we revised it to say that if any trees are proposed to be removed, then a tree preservation and planting plan will be prepared to the satisfaction of the town. But as long as there's no trees being removed, then we wouldn't need a planting plan to be submitted. And we had noted that tree preservation measures are required anyways through the building permit. Does that help?
How's that?
So at this point, like we've already had approval to remove a few of the trees that we're not removing anymore. So at this point, we're okay? As long as we're not removing any more?
Yeah, as long as you're not removing any further trees, then preservation planting plan would not be required.
So no, we're not removing any more trees.
Okay, any other questions? John, go ahead.
The question is just, should we be modifying this condition and dealing with it right now? Because we don't see that revision in front of us. So maybe we should just make a motion that includes sort of that, what Kirsten just explained, so that it's clear and done at this hearing.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can share my screen because I have the condition up here if you want to copy that, where it says if any trees are to be removed.
Sure.
Sure. And Doug, are you satisfied if the condition is read the way that Kirsten explained it?
Yes.
Okay.
So can you see that here? It's just
Yep.
this condition here, number 2.
I don't have it. Where are you seeing it?
I don't see.
No.
Oh, there we go. You should be able to see it now.
Okay, there it is, right? Yeah,
So it's number 2 here.
yeah.
Is that what's in the, in it right now? Or is that what you just put in now?
That's what you just put in.
Oh, actually, no, sorry. It does look like Tumaj did. No, this is modified. This is if any trees are proposed to be removed.
Yeah.
Okay, so the condition that we have here in front of us is the right one. Sorry,
Right.
guys, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, well, I have a question for you, Doug.
Yeah.
Usually, this looks like we're asking for forgiveness because we went ahead and built something before you had approval for it.
I know what it looks like.
And I know
What-
you've been in the area a long time, so.
100%.
I got to give you a hard time.
That's all right. Obviously, when I saw the plans, I'm pricing it out. I didn't get the plans until I think it was January. I had to price it quickly. The homeowners wanted to move quickly on the building process. It bugged me from day one when I saw it, but obviously I'm pricing it out as it is. I didn't find the true story behind why it was being done this way. And when I saw it, if you really look at the plans, it's obviously, to me, as a builder, you're just trying to meet the condition of the zoning requirements by linking a breezeway. It just, to me, it looked ridiculous. So I told the homeowner, I think we really need to rethink building this, because I like building something that looks good, not just for the fact of practicality. The breezeway is like over 12 feet tall. It's not going to do anything other than connect the two structures together. So that was my reason. I'm the one that asked the homeowner to see if we could do this. And then he started asking more and more questions, and this is where we are today, and hoping that you would accept this.
Well, we're just wondering if we denied it, then you'd have to tear it down and start over, right?
I think that's what we should make them do.
I think so. huh?
Tear it down, yeah.
Have enough of these builders like
You know,
that.
I mean, I've known Doug for a lot of years, and he charged me a lot of money when he worked for me, so I want to get back at him.
Any
No,
other,
it's all good.
it is all good. Anybody have any other questions of Doug? Yep, no, I don't see any. We don't have anybody speaking for or against this application. Sorry, John?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I don't know how we could.
Oh, my gosh. All right, we have no one speaking for or against it, so members, could I have a motion for or against this application? Marnie?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hi, I'd like to make a motion to approve application A017, A018, and A019 in reference to 1648 Houston Avenue as applied for, subject to all the conditions.
Motion before us to approve with conditions. Do I have a seconder? Bill? All in favor? Are you, yep, John? Okay, thank you. Yep, you are approved.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, we did contemplate you. We should tell you, take it down and put it back up, you know.
We just
right
need to play
place,
with
but
you a little bit, Doug.
It is a nice looking building.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. All right, final application of the night is B021 2023, known as 8 William Drive. And Dan Stone is that who's here before us tonight? Is that? Oh.
Dan is our consultant.
Okay, there's Dan on our, okay, we got him. I won't ask you to come up to the podium then, Dan. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustments.
Thank you very much. You can hear me, Mr. Chair?
Yep, we'll just get our Secretary Treasurer to go ahead and read the application. Any comments?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the applicant is proposing to sever a portion of the subject lands for the purpose of creating a new residential lot. The severed lands will have an approximate lot area of 731 square meters, and the retained lands will have an approximate lot area of 743 square meters. Planning recommends deferral. In-services have comments. Building and engineering have no comments, and several public comments were received in support of the development.
Thank you. Dan, you're in receipt of all the comments from the town?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I do. I think Tomas should have a short presentation that I'd like to go through with the committee.
Sure.
And I do understand that my clients, Mr. Reith and Nicole Phillips, are in the chambers with you tonight. And I think after I go through my remarks, I think they'd like to address the committee if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So thank you. Tomas, will you be sharing your screen or?
The presentation is up in the chambers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, Dan, just let us know when you want to change slides and we'll go forward.
Okay.
Yep, your first slide's up, so just say when you want to switch it.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Dan Stone. I am a registered professional planner. I've been retained by the property owners to move forward with these applications, and I just have a few comments to make and a request for the committee. We do understand that staff is recommending that the application be deferred for a number of reasons, and we've got some other ideas we'd like you to consider as it relates to a conditional approval. So if I could ask for the next slide, please.
Yep, go ahead.
And I don't know if you're seeing the air photography, but this just shows you the location of the subject property at William Street in Cookstown, and it shows the relatively new building on the south side of the property, which was constructed in and around 2017. And there's an existing older heritage building dwelling unit located at the front part of the property. And the application is essentially to divide this property so that the property will become two lots. And we'll talk in a minute about what might happen with the heritage building. If you've been to the property, you'll see that the new home has been constructed on the south end of the property. Next slide, please.
Okay.
So I think that the background tells you here on this slide that the older building at the northeast corner of the property was identified as having some heritage interest. And in 2017, my client, Mr. Reith, went through a process to have permission to build the new house on the south side of the property under the condition that the heritage approval was given to demolish the existing residence at the front. Thereby achieving conformity with zoning provisions that only allow for one dwelling unit per lot. Things have changed, and since that time, we've advanced the idea of severing the lot so as to keep the existing residence on the north part of the property, or go through the process through Heritage and Council to have it removed. So that started in March with a pre-consultation with your staff, with town staff at that time. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've just gone through that process, and I think the point at the bottom of this slide is again, the applicants are uncertain as to whether or not the original heritage home will be maintained on the property or demolished with further consultation with the Heritage Committee and Town Council. So that's the only question mark we have as it relates to the house on the remainder parcel. The next slide, I believe, is the severance sketch, which is a bit of a blow up on the air photo showing you the dimensions of the two structures. And as you can see, the existing residence at the northeast corner, the Heritage home, is sitting very close, if not right on the property lines, and of course doesn't satisfy zoning requirements, but it's an existing condition, as I'm sure you'll recognize. Next slide. We'll skip right over that if that's okay, Tomas, and we'll go to the next slide. And if you're on slide number 8, Tomas, I think I'd like to just dive into the summary of the planning analysis and the recommendation before you from our side. We do understand that staff is recommending the application be deferred for a couple of reasons, and I'm sure your staff will speak to it. and it's outlined in the staff report. One is with respect to the need for an additional unit of water and sewer allocation for the new lot. And the other one has to do with a minor variance application that is only required, Mr. Chair and committee, if the intent is to keep the existing heritage home on the property. And that variance application, again, would only be triggered in the event that it is going to stay. We presented an alternative in terms of a condition that would either require the variance be approved or the house be demolished. And again, that only happens through the Heritage Committee and Council approval. I do want to point out that if you've reviewed the staff report, your planning staff have agreed with my submissions as it relates to the planning merits of this application, and that is that it does meet the general intent and purpose of the provincial growth plan to provide for intensification within your built boundary, which is the overall thrust of the provincial growth plan in terms of providing for additional housing without necessarily going into situations of urban sprawl. So it's an example of infill and intensification that makes sense from that perspective. Staff have also concluded in their review that the severance itself does also satisfy the policies of the County of Simcoe official plan, as well as the town of Innisfil's recently approved official plan. So I do want to point out that we do have conformity with the notion of the land severance itself in terms of all of the relative policies of the official plan and senior planning documents. I am including on this slide as well the specific comment from In-Services, and that is that they were recommending a condition of approval to this application. And that's exactly what we have been proposing as well, Mr. Chair and members of committee. You'll know from the staff report that there are approximately 15 units of allocation that appear to be remaining in the capacity of the existing sewage treatment facility for Cookstown. And we would propose to get access to one of those units of allocation, and we would propose to achieve that as a condition of consent. Mr. Chair and committee, as you know, if the application is granted approval, you typically assign a series of conditions that would have to be met before the consent is finalized. And under the Planning Act, those conditions need to be met and cleared within 2 years of your decision. So in this particular situation, Mr. Chair, we're asking the committee to consider approval of the application based on the planning merits, which I've gone through, and they're pretty straightforward and they comply with all of the necessary planning policies. But that the issues that surround the reason for the staff recommendations for deferral, they can be addressed through conditions which I think are appropriate. And if those conditions aren't met, then the application fails. But we have 2 years with which to meet those conditions. And that's what we're putting in front of you today, Mr. Chair and members of committee, is that you consider approving the application with the conditions, and specifically the one from In-Services is very basically mirroring the condition that I have recommended in my planning analysis. So the last slide, Timaj, is the conclusion. And again, we'd ask that the committee approve the application conditionally. I would ask that the committee include the standard conditions, which I think are pretty commonplace for the creation of a new lot, the reference plan, the deeds, and so on and so forth. The ones that are specific to this particular project would be the assignment of the unit of allocation and the variance application to allow the heritage home to remain in its current location if in fact the owners don't pursue demolition of that structure in favor of a new building on the north side. So those are my submissions, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to answer any questions. And I do know that Nicole and Rob are in the chambers, and I think they might have some additional historical information and they might want to speak to as well. I do know as well, Mr. Chair, you do have, I think, 7 letters of support from the local neighborhood attached to your agenda package. And I think an additional letter of support was submitted later this afternoon. So I'm hoping that you have that one as well. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And you might entertain an opportunity for Rob and Nicole to address the committee.
Sure. Thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions of the agent before us? Hang on, we'll just deal with him and then we'll have your turn. Any, yeah, Marnie, go ahead.
Hi, I'm not quite understanding. Is the intention to demolish the heritage building now or to leave it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll answer the question, but I think Rob and Nicole might give you some better insights in terms of their intentions with the property. But I think the way that I've structured the condition that I'm asking you to consider is if the intent is to retain the building because of some renewed interest by the community and the Heritage Committee and therefore council in keeping the heritage structure, it would require a variance application. So we've put that out there as an option. If it is to be demolished, and again, that only happens through the Heritage and Council process, then we wouldn't need a variance and we'd have a normal building envelope with which to construct a new home on the north side of the property. So perhaps, Mr. Chair, the question might be put to Mr. Reith and Nicole, perhaps.
Sure. Marnie, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I wasn't able to see the submission that you were posting up, so I just wanted to clarify that. No, I'm good.
John, you had a question?
I do want to hear from the homeowners, but or the landowners. But the question is, why do you think that there's allocation that's available for you guys that's potential for this place like that's sooner than later?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to answer the question from the member, it's documented in the reports in front of you on the agenda that there are 15 units of allocation remaining in the Cookstown community.
And where are you in the sort of the queue?
Well, this is part of the process. We're trying to get in that queue, and
right.
And this is why we advanced the application to show the intent. We're trying to provide for reasonable infilling within the community to help address the housing supply problem that is facing both this municipality and the province. And in terms of the queue, this is where we sit in that particular process.
But is that the motivation to try and have this passed with the conditions that you're proposing? That because I don't understand it. I mean, otherwise, if there's no, you may as well defer it if there's no advantage to having us pass it with the conditions. But if the advantage is that you get into the queue, maybe I understand that. But if that's, I'm just wondering what the motivation is to want this to pass and not defer at this point with the conditions versus just waiting until the allocations are coming forth.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that the advantage is you've got a land use approval that's been given by the Committee of Adjustment in the case of a conditional approval. In that particular situation, what you're looking at is a situation where it has been deemed appropriate to sever this property. In order to achieve the severance and build on the new lot, it requires a unit of allocation. And as we move forward, working with staff and council with the disposition of the remaining units of allocation, I think that puts us in better shape going forward, to answer your question.
Could I have the owners come up to the podium, please? Welcome to the Committee of Adjustments. You want to add something to the presentation?
Yeah, the reason that we're applying now versus later is because when we first applied, they didn't have any allocations left. And then from my understanding is that some people had passed on their opportunity for their severance. So then 15 became available in September or October of the last year. So then I said to Rob, there's 15 left. Let's try again. Let's try and get one of the 15 that people passed up. All we're looking to do is we have a double lot with a very unfortunate looking home on it. We thought it would happen a lot quicker. Our neighbors are extremely patient with us. What we would like to do is sever the lot so that we build a beautiful home that our family can live in and enjoy, and our town be looking a little bit nicer. Like, we have the house on the street that doesn't look nice compared to everybody else's, and we'd like to contribute and make that corner complete. And by a severance and by building a home, we can start that process, and hopefully we
Well,
can.
The severance, if you were to even get the severance, all it would do is have a ton of conditions on it, because you still got to go before town council. The allocation, there is a waiting list for that. You might see that there's 15 available, but there's people ahead of you that are waiting for that allocation too. So I think in where we're looking at as a committee is you want us to sever that lot, but you won't know whether it's going to be demolished or has to stay on the site until it goes through the Heritage Committee and through council and everything else. So that's why John's bringing up the point. Why, like, we really, in our eyes, we don't see why you want to go ahead and get us to give you some form of approval for the lot when you've got a lot of steps to take before you even get to that point of either fixing it up or demolishing. You've got a lot of steps to go through. And Tamaj can, outside of this meeting, can let you know, or I don't know who lets them know about allocation.
Yeah, we still have, I think in the fall, there's going to be a new report going to council. There's no set date for it, but typically every year we update that report.
Update. We have, oh, sorry, John, I see you there.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just through you, Chair, just a quick question. It sounds to me like the intention is to demolish the house.
Yeah.
I do believe that is the appropriate thing to do. And maybe this is a question for staff. Is this just a process issue that, that this demolition permit or cannot be issued because of the heritage? Is this something that will get passed, but it's just, and that it is an eventuality? Or, I mean, is there any risk that this building might have to stay?
Through you, Mr. Chair, my understanding is there's no set decision yet on the demolition. It has to go through, a Heritage Committee has to approve it, but they haven't indicated whether they're in favor or against it as of yet, so it's still outstanding.
And a question to staff, is there a better chance that the demolition will go through with it as a single lot or as a double lot, or as separated? Is there any difference in that? I imagine there wouldn't be.
I think so.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't think that would make a difference.
And sorry, another question is this the same reason why they were allowed to build a second dwelling on a property because of this heritage situation? Because, I mean, that's pretty rare that the township would allow a second building being built on a lot, which gives me a feeling that maybe this building is protected in some way.
Sorry if I interrupt, I believe did you build that new house or someone built it? Didn't we do a variance on that house years ago?
Yeah, we did a variance
Yeah,
because I actually kind of needed somewhere to live. So I lived in that years ago. It's gotten a lot more dilapidated over the years.
Yep.
It leaks now. But truthfully, there would be, sorry?
We gave you a variance to build the big house. Well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember that. When we
And
drove down
I
the street,
think-
I remember this.
Yeah. Well, and when they created the Heritage Conservation District, there was A, B, C, and D, classes of historical significance. So to answer the question of will that house be able to be demolished and what level of conservation's put on it, that house is put as a D. So that is non-contributing. So basically, there's a lot of other properties around town that were Ds and they're not even there anymore. One being, I built the house next to us, number 6, and I personally ripped that one down with an excavator. That was also a D. It's not even there anymore. And I used to live on Selby Street, and the two houses next to me, or the house there, Bill and Leslie Allen, their house isn't there anymore either. It was a D. So if there's for the committee, that question, John, the answer would be, not that I know for sure anything, and we would just apply through the legal avenues. I would say there would be, in the event we pursued demolishing it, there is no roadblocks considering that it's a D. And also considering, like, when we read the Heritage Act, it has to have original components and original stuff that contributes, and there's nothing really original on that house. It's been so renovated and,
Previous owners.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's helpful.
And a quick question for staff. Toumaj, can you conceivably think that if we do defer, that they could come back and that you guys could fabricate or create some kind of recommendation of approval with these conditions that they're asking for? Is that something that the
Toumaj,
town staff is?
I think
would be
what
able
we'll,
to
John, I think we'll do,
support?
Steve Montgomery dealt with this file, so I think we should get him on the screen here with us.
Okay.
We can
Yeah.
discuss this.
Sure.
Hang on,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think the key is, and I just wanted to bring up a couple issues here with this file, is we're concerned about precedent and we're concerned about the 2-year window. So we do have a few people that are waiting for these 15 residual units, but we want to have the protocol in place prior so that we can distribute them. Obviously, we do take this on record as a priority severance. So there's the EA process, which would free up a lot of units. And then there's the 15 residual, which haven't been redistributed. They're there, but they haven't been redistributed through a process equitably. So my understanding is, and I'm filling in for Brandon this evening, couldn't make it. Brandon is stating that he's working within services who are leading this project, obviously, and we're working towards further reports and understanding in the fall about how this distribution would work. Until that time, we're worried whether or not the 2-year window will perhaps fail in this application if it's approved this evening with conditions, and also just the precedent of allowing applications to come forward without this protocol and without the EA process being completed. Because there's a lot of people in the queue.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
Just when the old house was designated for heritage, did you object to it, or were you told?
I don't even remember if I owned it yet. I think that Heritage Conservation District was created like.
Wasn't it 2013?
No, it was after. It was around the year 2017, 2016, I think.
I think I remember. I think I was on council at the time when it
Yeah.
was designated, and I'm just trying to recall. I don't know whether you owned it or not, but you were aware that it was heritage when you bought the lot, or?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
At the end of the day, we're just trying to make the street nicer. And I understand there's lots of logistics. I just want you to understand that we just want to complete, like, our neighbors are really supportive of it. We have letters. People want a little bit, it's the eyesore of our little.
We understand the gist of what you're wanting to do. Unfortunately, because it is Cookstown, there's a problem with allocations and the Heritage Committee. So you've got all that wrapped into it. And as you heard our senior staff member, Stephen Montgomery, comment, I don't know if you were picking it up, but we're concerned that if we would give you some of the variances tonight, we say we can sever the property, it may go dead before you can meet the contents, because it may be more than 2 years. And that's why we're reticent to even go any further with this, because you've got a lot of other hoops to go through.
How many hoops do we have? Like, if we apply for since it is a D, that hoop of whatever happens to that building, other than that one, what are the?
Unfortunately, you telling us about this designation of D, we don't have that information before us, all right? So I can't, I'm sure you're an honest person, but I can't take your word for it. It's not here in black and white for us to look at.
Yep.
So we're just understanding sorry, I'm just popping around my screens here. You've got the Heritage Group to go through.
Chair.
Sorry.
Allocation.
And the allocation.
Environmental assessment.
And environmental assessment. So those are nothing that we can influence. Those are processes you have to go through the town, and, you know, they're willing to help you. You know that because you've built
Yeah.
in there a few times.
Well, Mr. Chair, can I just say one other thing here?
Yeah.
The most painful part of it all is the fact that and you guys remember that when this happened and I built that house, it was very late in the year, and the town sent out letters. So they sent out letters, and I paid $2,190 to the town of Innisfil to reserve a sewer allocation, which was, I guess, a consent to sever. But then when it was late in the year, I came here for something about a building permit and the variance for having the one house to live in while I built the other. And they said, well, you can't have a consent to sever in and have a building permit go. So I withdrew the consent to sever, considering that I better get the consent to sever back within 2 years because of the 2-year expiry. No knowledge to me, and I'm not a lawyer type guy or know all the fine print, I let go the sewer allocation. So if you guys look in the files, and I understand that we can't right now, I had the letter.
You got to understand, the people on Committee of Adjustment have nothing to do with the town.
I know.
Other than they appoint us to the committee,
Yeah.
so we're not staff.
Okay.
We can only go by what's in front of us,
Okay.
what's in black and white. Bill, you want to comment?
Comment, yeah, and I read all the letters of support, and I can understand, because when I see that building there, I can understand that the people on the street and whoever, that they would like to see another house built there and look good. But on the other hand, I look at our report here, and I totally have to agree with our staff, our planners, that there are just way too many conditions, and you know what? In my opinion, deference is the best thing, because that way you can come back and it's not going to cost you the $1,700 or whatever it is to come back here, if you get some
I
of
think
these
it's
things done.
$4,200 to be here right now. I think.
There you go, you wouldn't have to pay that again.
We're not getting paid that much, sorry. It's not the right amount.
So if it does get deferred, we don't have,
No, you can come back once some of these conditions are met. What you need to do is you need to be in touch with, our planning department, with Tomas or whoever that you've been talking to. And, first of all, I would try and see if we can get a demolition permit for that building.
Yeah.
Because
Heritage Committee.
that's pretty important to us, because it's sitting on the road,
Yeah.
and you're right. It looks like it needs to be demolished. I'm not arguing any of these things. I mean, it's all in your favor, but the problem is there's no permission for any of this stuff. And that's what you need to do. You need to go out there and get permission or get some permits, to get to all that. When you come back to us, you say, hey, this, and that. And the allocation, it's the big one. I mean, you may get a severance and sit there for 10 years, you can't do anything. Because I don't know how many, I don't know how many applications are in there right now, like for sewer and water. Could be 100, I don't know. I know that at one time when I was on council, it was 150. So obviously they have worked their way through that one, and there was 15 allocations left. But I'm also sure that there was at least, 50 people waiting for those 15 spots, so.
And when they say to give them out, when Mr. Montgomery said, they want to distribute them equitably, so if there's people in line ahead of us. So the only reason I brought up is that the fact that I paid $2,190 and had it is because maybe that, if it's about equitability or whatever, maybe that counts for something. It's like, well, this guy had it, and unknowingly-
That argument's with the town, not us.
Yes.
I know.
We don't deal with anything other than what the application is in front of us.
Okay.
We don't have anything else involved with these committees. It's just us. We're here for the deal with variances.
Yep.
So that's all we can comment on. And so we have to take what the information is in front of us. Plus, there's a number of us here that have been around a long time in this stuff. I'm really only 40 years old. My hair is just that white. So.
And really, we have to rely on our staff, when it comes to severances or applications like this. I mean, they don't intentionally mislead us, and if we feel they do, then we argue.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think that, they're spot on. Thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? No, see none? Marnie, no? Okay, we don't have anybody speaking for or against the property tonight, so folks, unless you have anything else to add, I'm gonna put it before the committee for count. Okay,
I
so
think I'm done.
can I have a motion for or against this application that's before us? Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My recommendation is that we defer this until some of these conditions are met.
So the application before us is for deferral. Do I have a seconder? John? Sorry, John, your hand went by the camera. Was that a yes? Yeah, John? All in favor? Yep. So we are deferring you.
Okay.
Okay, and then, I don't know if Tamaj, if you're always the portal for people or there's other planners, and they'll walk you through it and say, okay, now we'll get you back on the agenda, because he'll get you back on our agenda.
Okay.
And he'll get you, whatever the process is, you can follow up with him, because it's nothing to do with us.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
And through you, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, yeah, there's no fee for deferral. If it's staff requesting deferral, is only a fee if the applicant requests deferral. So there won't be any additional charges.
So we don't have to apply.
No, your application is, you've paid for it, it's complete. You could come back at any future agenda.
Oh,
Well, that's good too.
Yeah, you
that
don't,
makes us feel better. 'cause
Yeah.
this-
That's
Because
right.
we're the
That's
ones
why I said
recommending
that,
deferral.
because there's no,
and there's no time limit, so it's kind of on pause right now.
And I appreciate, kind of some advice. It's like, go through other processes first and then approach it again. And
well,
maybe that's a great route, like
Because
maybe
we're
you'll
gonna,
see
we're gonna
us here
hold it
for a-
up, and a lot of people, when they're coming, they don't listen to the planner or what they're advising them. Some people are just
Yeah.
want to come before us anyways, and it
Yeah.
doesn't go. So, they've been around a few times, around the block a few times, they know these are the things, have no idea about the allocation, it's not our thing,
okay.
but, Tamaj will walk you through it and then say, hey, yeah, you guys, you know what, I can put you back on the agenda because you've met these steps.
Yeah, okay.
All right, but I can't tell, I don't know what the length of it is, I just know what we deal with. We get, whatever he sends us is what we do.
We really
Well,
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks very much.
And we will be back.
All right,
All right.
have a good night. And I don't believe there's any other business, Mr. Secretary? No, no other business? Could I have a motion to adjourn at 7:15 PM? John's got his hand up there. Marnie, you're in favor? Motion,